Okay. Hello, colleagues. I hope you can hear me well. If it is so, will you please put pluses so that I can see that I can be heard and seen pretty well. Is there anyone here? So my watch shows 7 o'clock sharp, and we begin. My name is Natalia Dmitrievna Sorokina. I'm a teacher of English as well as the head of a language school. And our today's presentation is part of a program devoted to teachers, or to bringing assistance to teachers who will prepare their students to take I was speaking today about exams the whole day through, to make an excursion in English, to deliver an excursion in English. Okay, so can you see me and can you hear me well? Will you please put pluses here? I was thinking hard on which language to choose to talk to you today, because on the one hand, yes, you can hear me. Okay, thank you ever so much. I see it. Thanks a lot. On the one hand, we are going to work with the language material, which is in English, and on the other, some of the techniques that we are going to discuss today will be in Russian. So I guess there will be a good mixture of Russian and English, and some of the slides will be in Russian, some of the slides will be in English, but my comments will be in English, okay? So what are we going, what issues are we going to touch upon in my today's webinar? Firstly, we shall speak about the possibilities of the sequence of presenting the material to the students, because there are different variants, and definitely it's up to the teacher to choose the most appropriate one, but there are two which I will touch upon. Then we'll work with the material about Nevyansk. Hopefully you heard the previous speaker, Zinaida Mikhailovna, who told you about Nevyansk, and she's eager to tell you about some other places of interest near Yekaterinburg and Yekaterinburg itself. But today we shall work with the materials that you will present to the students and the way how we present it to the students. That is why I will show you some exercises how to do that mostly efficiently, and also mention the variants of final project presentation works, final project works that your students may choose to make. Okay, so speaking about the variants of sequence of presentation, I would say that there are two main. You can choose among. The first one is when you begin with a real excursion to the place we're going to discuss today. But as far as in our program, we are going to touch Nevyansk, Sesert, Verkhoturye, and Yekaterinburg. So the teacher may want to take the students to those places and show. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. You won't see the pictures that I have prepared. Yes, it doesn't work like this. All right. So, but hopefully you saw all the pictures last time when Gymnasium 70. Hi, Olga Sergeyevna. I graduated from this school. So you can take the students there, and they may listen to an excursion in Russian as well as you did while getting ready to work with the students. Because it goes without saying that even though we would like to prepare our students to speak in English, they will never absorb this vast information and vast lexical material in English. But when they visit the place and then start learning about it in English, they will see behind every sentence and behind every short text, they will see vast information, and they will recollect the place and the things, the information that they learned from that place, and they will have an idea that they know a lot and they can speak a lot. So this is one of the variants which I would prefer. First bring the students to the place and then start introducing the material in English. But definitely there could be another one when you would like to present the material in English first, and then in order to expand their knowledge, because you won't give everything in English, in order to expand it, you take the students to the place on an excursion, and if you take a guide who will speak to you and tell the students all the necessary information, the guides will definitely speak in Russian. But the students in this variant can interleave into the whole excursion, and from time to time, when you stop at this or that site of a place that you are visiting, they may give their own, though short but still, an English presentation about this place. And again, that will give them the whole picture of the place that they are visiting. If you choose the second one, first giving them information in English and then bringing them to the place of interest, I suggest showing them a film about the Demidovs, about their family, which was done by our channel #1 on TV, and this film will give the first information about the place and the background information of the birthplace of the industry in our country, well, in Sverdlovsk region and in our country on the whole. In this presentation, which you will get after the webinar, I give you the link which will bring you to this film. But for you to have an idea what kind of a film is this, I would like to switch a 2 minutes passage from it. Oh, not found. How's that? It is not found. Okay, and nobody checked it. Elena didn't check it, whether it works or not. It doesn't work. Okay, so this is a very nice production of the first channel with some actors playing, and you're trying to do this, and some information that are given by the speaker. Okay, all right. But anyway, you will get this link, and you will have an opportunity to watch it first for yourself and then with the students. Okay, still, no, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, unfortunately. Okay, all right. Anyway, the teachers will take this link, because you will get, as I have already said, you will get this presentation in PowerPoint, and you will watch this film either yourself or together with your students. It is very nicely done, and it will give the first information. If your students, for instance, don't know anything, neither about Nikita Demidov, okay, nor about the city. All right. Okay, so Elena is still trying trying her best to switch it on. But let's proceed. Okay, so when we speak, when you show the students this information, you bring some language material into the classroom in English, and the first thing we're going to do, as well as we work with all the texts in general in our English language classes, we pre-teach the lexis, right? So I'm going to give you the first text about Nikita Dimitrov, and I have divided the text into 4 parts, and we'll tell you how to work with it. So Peter I won the Northern War with the help of high technology, although a few years before Russia even had to buy raw materials in Europe. As you may see, some of the words are in blue here, and I guess that these very words may present difficulty for your students. Well, I think that we can start working with the material with the students of the 6th, 7th, and higher forms. All right. So the higher forms may know the words, but 6th formers, 7th formers may not. So, how to work with although and raw materials? As you remember, in one of my webinars, when I gave you the technology of association, I taught you how to use visual association and phonic association, bringing them together for the students to memorize the word. Although. This word sounds very much like Russian onzo, onzo. Хотя, because this is the translation will be given in green when in further slides I'm going to show you the new words. So, and the first presentation for them to memorize may be like this: onzo, although, хотя. Если вы дадите ему конфету, возьмете его на экскурсию, покажете ему тот фильм, который он хотел, etc. So it's up to you to invent lots of things. Хотя, может быть, он и подобреет. This is the way we introduce although. The next word is raw material, сырье, да? Сырье. So I suggest doing it, introducing it in this way. Raw materials sounds like Рома материал намочил. Ну ж какой это материал, там может быть это полотенце, да? И теперь он сырой. Материал сырой, да и Рома тоже сырой, видимо, искупался. Raw material. And the students may memorize this picture of a person, of a boy, who put this material into the water, and the water became, and the material is wet. Yes, definitely we know the word wet, but raw materials will somehow coincide with сырой материал, сырье, raw materials. I will give you several ways of introducing the words. This is one of them, association method. Okay, and all the rest I think is clear, but further we shall work with this very passage a bit longer. Okay, the next one. An important role in the industrial development of Russia was played by the Tula gunsmith Nikita Demidov, who impressed the Tsar with his craft. Here I found much more words that your students may not know, and I divided them into 2 groups. The first one is the words that very much sound like our Russian variant and practically with the same meaning. Индустриальный, industrial. Development, вот сейчас очень много уже в наш язык вошло заимствований в связи с бизнесом. И есть такие девелоперы, как их зовут, да? Те, кто развивает что-то. Поэтому development, развитие, нетрудно будет запомнить значение этого слова. Impress, впечатлять. Есть такие художники-импрессионисты, работы которых, безусловно, впечатляют. И слово impress тоже нетрудно запомнить. Но помним, что когда мы пытаемся вводить слово, то обязательно картинка должна быть ограничена контуром. Да? Вот какую-то картинку импрессионистов они должны ограничить контуром. Итак, industrial development and impress are very easy words, but you have to train the pronunciation. So they have to repeat after you to pronounce the words correctly. And as for two more words, again, I suggest using associative method. Craft, craft. Похоже на слово кран, да? Кран, например, подъемный. И на кране работают и демонстрируют свое мастерство крановщик. Кран. When we speak about the association method, we say that at least 3 or even 2 sounds should coincide with the English variant. Итак, craft, craft, okay? And the next word is gunsmith, gunsmith. Imagine that the name of this person is Smith, and he makes guns. Our modern students watch lots of action films, lots of movies, and they definitely know the word gun. Gunsmith, оружейный мастер. So this is Smith who makes guns. Okay, so the next passage, the third passage. Nikita produced perfect guns, but at a much lower price than in Europe. Peter gave Demidov a plant in the Urals and unique benefits. These benefits helped Demidov to expand production and begin mineral exploration. So helped to begin and helped to expand. Okay, and again, how do we work with these words? Again, the first group of words can be defined in English or in Russian because they either are known for the students from the experience, because the price is now in all the labels of the things that they buy, and definitely they know this word, price, цена. Unique looks very much like Russian уникальный. The meaning is the same, but we have to teach the students pronunciation. And expand is the word экспансия, завоевание, расширение своего владения. Expand. So if you define these words, they will definitely memorize them. But you have to work with pronunciation. Okay? And some of the words, again, will be introduced with the help of association method. For instance, benefit, польза, benefit. Imagine that the name of this boy is Benya, and he is keen on fitness, and this fitness is beneficial for him. Okay? So, Benya занимается фитнесом. Benefit, 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 benefit. Okay. though it may seem far from past Demidov's time, but this is a good way to bring the word into the memory of the students. Exploration, исследование. Well, I suggest the following association. Скажем, исследователи провели исследование, и оно нашло какой-нибудь площадь. I deliberately didn't finish the word. Площадь, вот была когда-то старая площадь, раскопали, а там вот эта брусчатка, то есть когда-то было это площадью, площадь, так? Плотину какую-нибудь старую, там, допустим, там, если она деревянная, там вдруг раскопали, что, ага, здесь была плотина, эксплотина и так далее. So, exploration sounds like these Russian words. And finally, the last passage about Demidov is, but Demidov didn't only rely on royal favors, he invested in people. The school he created still exists, and in those years it became the first educational institution to host children of serfs. Now let us look at the group of words that I put in blue here. Invest, инвестировать, and the meaning is the same, and the Russian variant is pronounced in this, the pronunciation looks very much like the English pronunciation. Create, креативность, и креатив, то есть создание чего-нибудь творческого, тоже известное слово, to create. Host, размещать. Сейчас очень много host hotels, и дети тоже это знают, хостелы такие, не отели, а именно хостелы такие, типа общежитий, когда в одной комнате 4 человека, но той молодежи, которая путешествует, достаточно места для того, чтобы где-то переночевать и потом путешествовать. То есть хостелы тоже довольно распространенное теперь заимствование, и просто здесь оно в другом контексте. Exist, тоже существование, экзистенциализм, экзистенция, ну ладно, трудно выговорить даже по-русски, существование. So you may also speak about and tell the students, define the words in Russian. And after the definition, don't forget to make them pronounce the words. They have to pronounce each word not less than 3 times in order to memorize the pronunciation and somehow unite it with the meaning. Rely, the association which I found is, well, not found but thought of, is, and I found a picture which somehow describes this association. Операция, да? Вот эта собачка регулярно лает, если на нее опереться. So this is the way, maybe your students or you will think of some other associations because it's a funny work when we work with associations, but they really help. They really help. Okay, and after you have introduced the words in this way, you have to start working with the lexes, aiming at bringing them to the long-term memory of the students. I have prepared this lexical card, and again, after this webinar, you will get in your mails will be attached some cards that I have prepared for today's webinar. One of them is this lexical card. So I would like to remind you how to work with it. So firstly, when you taught the students how to pronounce the words correctly, right, they have to close the Russian variant and start checking themselves whether they remember how the word is translated into the Russian language, and then they close the English word and translate from Russian into English. And these columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they mark only the words which they don't remember or they're not sure about, and then they have to rework with them again, bringing the new associations. The second card, which I will show you later, will deal with grammar. And I would like to say that in this very webinar and in general in the work with excursions in English, I suggest presenting grammar in the lexical way. You remember methodology, our Russian methodology says that sometimes we may present grammar as a lexical unit without, well, very long explanation why and how it is formed, etc. Because for the students, this information seems to be very dull, and sometimes, well, most often, they don't remember it, right? But if you give it, give this set, this word or a phrase or a sentence and just translate it, so in a lexical way, maybe this will be easier for the students to acquire. That is why this very text, which we have already covered with you in terms of lexis presenting, pre-teaching lexis, okay? Let us look at it from the point of view of grammar that it consists of. So you can see that I have put down in blue the past forms of the verbs. Your students may or may not know by the time you start working with the excursion the past simple form, and sometimes there are past perfect here as well, perfect tenses here as well, but you may give it in a lexical way. So Peter I won the Northern War. Russia had to buy. So what's the use of explaining them this expression? Just translate it and let them memorize it. Was played, this is passive voice, right? And it will take time to explain the passive, etc. Just translate it. Gave, became. These are irregular verbs, right? Well, you may explain that all the regular verbs are put into the past form with the help of ed ending. So I have prepared a grammar card for you, which you may which you may also use while preparing your students for delivering the excursion. So, one, what is the way I did the grammar card? I'm going to explain it to you now. So, one, I put one and the same verb in the past tense in different sentences, in different situations, let us say, so that they can memorize the word, like «Они выиграли приз в соревнованиях». This sentence has nothing to do with Demidov and the history of Nevyansk, but it shows that this verb can be used to deliver this very meaning, right? We won the victory in the war. He won the championship. And one of the sentences should be that from the text, by all means. Peter I won the Northern War with the help of high technology. Had to buy, had to buy. And again, I give different sentences which have nothing to do with the text, but there is a sentence Russia had to buy raw materials in Europe that deals with the text. And so in the card you will work with the words one, had to buy, had to say, but had to buy was in the text, so I chose had to buy, was played by, which is a pure passive voice. Yes, the role was played excellently, the musical part was not played correctly. An important role in the industrial development of Russia was played by the Tula gunsmith Nikita Demidov. They have already learned the word gunsmith, industrial, development. So it won't, hopefully, it won't be very difficult for them to work with the whole sentence. Became famous, and again became, well, famous, popular, became the first industrial institution, educational institution, etc. And the way we work with this grammar sentences is the same as we work with lexical cards. Well, it is not seen here, but in the card that you are going to get in the mail after the webinar, you will see that the card comprises the same columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the students will have to read the sentence and translate it and learn the whole sentence from English into Russian. So they will have an opportunity to repeat this sentence several times before they work with the text. And I suggest not showing the whole text to the students. First, you work with the lexes and the sentences. And then afterwards, when you show the text to the students, they will definitely say, well, but the text is so very easy, because they have already pronounced these sentences several times while working with them. So I'm not going to repeat it, but in the PowerPoint presentation that you get, you have all those steps you see, all those steps I was speaking about. Don't forget about this speed repetition. So they will not only have to learn how to pronounce it correctly, but they will have to train to do that in a shorter time, in as short a time as possible, right? So if the first presentation will take 3 minutes, the second will take 2 minutes and 8 seconds, etc., etc. So they will have to, you may give them the pattern of the fluency. And please don't forget to find this short period of time during which they do not memorize anything, they do something different, but then they come back to the card and they pronounce everything with the same speed they did last time. And then 7 days of repetition. The second passage about Nevyansk and people who built it is about Nikita Demidov, so Nikita Demidov's son. And again, here you see the words that I put in different color. So Demidov created his industrial empire. Later, his son Akinfi continued his father's work. He built new metallurgical plants in Nizhny Tagil. By the end of his life, there were 25 plants in Demidov's empire. Thanks to this, Russia began to export iron and steel. The country received its own industry capable of competing with Europe. One more thing, well, I'm afraid this film won't go, Elena Yakovlevna. How to check it? Okay. Now, one more step in teaching the students how to speak is working with another film which is done in English, but it is not very well heard, which is good, because I suggest doing the following: back translation with the students. Now that they have learned the information, it will be easy for them to work with it. I will try, but I'm not sure now that it works. Let us try.
Peter the Great won the Northern War with the help of high technology. Although a few years before that, Russia had to buy even raw materials in Europe. An important role in this was played by the Tula gunsmith Nikita Demidov, who impressed the Tsar with his craft. Guns he produced were on par with the European, but at a much lower price. Peter gave Demidov plant in the Urals and unique benefits. These benefits helped Demidov expand production and begin mineral exploration. But he did not only rely on royal favors. The industrialists invested in people. The school he created still exists. And in those years, it became the first educational institution to host children of serfs. Demidov created his industrial empire, and thanks to his school, Russia began exporting iron and steel. Thus, the country received its own industry capable of competing with Europe.
Okay, so as you may see,
Peter the Great won the Northern War with the help
is based on those words and expressions that you have already worked with your students, and if you ask them to work with it and try to translate from Russian, because everything is written in Russian, which is very nice, but maybe translate it into the English, it will be easier for them to do so, because they have already learned the phrases and the sentences and the words. And again, this is the link which will bring you to this film, and you may use it in the classroom. Okay. So the steps again are pre-teaching lexis. I mean the steps of working with the film. Pre-teaching lexis, this is everything that we have covered before this slide. Watching the film first for the students to get the idea of what the film is about, the length of the film, the contents of the film, and then translating it slide by slide. It is easy to stop, to stop the film, read the sentence or a passage in Russian and give the students an opportunity to say it in English, and after that, so switch on the film in the normal speed so that the students may translate it, and you may work with them, and you may play guides with them, so that the first guide takes the first passage, the second, etc., etc. But that brings some life into the classroom before they visit Nevyansk itself. Or you may do it vice versa. Okay, so that was the history of the family, right? The family. This is a very short information, very short piece of information, that if you show the students Nevyansk beforehand, they will see behind this information much more, and it will be more interesting for them to work with it. Okay, Nevyansk. Now we come to the city itself. Not far from Yekaterinburg, between the capital of the Urals and Nizhny Tagil city, there is a town called Nevyansk. It is one of the most interesting attractions of the Urals, which is associated with the Demidov dynasty of industrials who started the town and founded ironworks here. The word associated may be used, may be pronounced in two different ways. Both are considered to be correct. Association associated or association, associated. You may choose whatever you wish. That is why Nevyansk is called the grandfather of the Ural plants. And again, here you see that I put in different colors some of the words, expressions, grammar variants, etc. And I suggest working with them in a slightly different way, so that I show you the whole range of exercises and you will choose the ones that you consider to be the most appropriate. Because maybe you would like to work with this very text in associative method as well, but I'm going to show you something completely different. So this is a part which you will well, an exercise which trains the is, there are expression. Well, as teachers, you know that this grammar construction presents a difficulty for our students because practically we do not use it in our native language, and they always forget about it. They forget to use it and to put it in the beginning of the sentence. And I keep on telling them that there are 3 bricks, как я говорю, 3 кирпича, без которых не существует предложения. Конструкция, что и где находится. Вот 3 таких основополагающих камня должно быть. Конструкция, что и где находится. All right? After I have told them about this, we train it in this kind of an exercise. So they have to choose from every column and form a sentence. For instance, there is a small town near Yekaterinburg. Или there are, no article, ironworks near Yekaterinburg. There is a leaning tower near Yekaterinburg. Or there are flower beds, there is a flower bed in the park, etc. And it gives them an opportunity to repeat several times this there is, there are construction, and by doing this they understand the usage and hopefully memorize that they have to use it. And you saw this expression here. Yes, there is a town called Nevyansk. In the further text that I am going to show you, there are lots of sentences. There will be lots of sentences with this construction. There is, there are. The next passage. The town is well known for its famous Nevyansk Leaning Tower with its secrets and mysteries. The craftsmen of Nevyansk of the 18th century were the first in the Urals to start the art of casting from ferrous metals, making the unique Nevyansk icons. In addition, Nevyansk is also home to a traditional style of icon painting, which was developed by old believers who came to work in the city's factories. Well, definitely you know much more. I mean, you teachers who heard our speaker, you know much more about old believers, and if you wish, you may tell your students about them, but the text for students is not so very long. Oops, there is a mistake here, adjectives. Okay, so you have to teach students adjectives. By the way, several times recently I heard the native speakers who pronounced it as adjectives. Adjectives, I didn't know. I was taught to pronounce it as adjectives. All right. So adjectives. The more adjectives your students learn and know and use, the better marks, by the way, they will get in different tests and local examinations. So it is a good thing to teach them adjectives or adjectives. So one of the most famous, unique, picturesque, dramatic, fascinating, even though practically all of them, apart from famous, besides famous, are translated as великолепный, так, уникальный, знаменитый, великолепный, picturesque, dramatic, fascinating. They are synonyms, but if the students know them, it is good. What I also suggest doing with this phrase is, please pay attention to one of the places, один из мест, один из достопримечательностей. From my own experience, the students forget to use the plural here. They say one of the place because they see or hear the word one, but one of means something different. So when working with this card, will you please pay attention to the plural form of the nouns. Now, Nevyansk Leaning Tower. This is the most famous attraction and a unique one, and most of the people go to Nevyansk in order to see this tower and to listen to the mysterious stories about its construction and being. So Nevyansk Leaning Tower is a unique 18th century construction and a wonderful monument of Russian stone architecture. It was built by Demidov, but the name of the architect is unknown. If you look at the word century and architecture, it's clear. I mean, the meaning of the words is quite clear from the contents. But your task as a teacher is to teach the students pronouncing, the pronunciation of this word, century, not the way they use it, century, century, or architecture, architecture, so that they pronounce it. Don't forget 3 times at least to pronounce the word, make them pronounce the word so that they memorize the pronunciation. The tower has several stories. In the past, it housed a laboratory, I mean several stories, the first story, the second, and the third, and the fourth. In the past, it housed a laboratory to study the composition of iron in the factory. The factory archive, the treasury office, and the prison. Currently, it is an exhibition. Archive, archive, it's clear from the context, but again, you have to teach the pronunciation. Treasury, treasury office, and again, the students have to teach, to learn how to pronounce it. So I deliberately didn't make the texts too long to acquire the main lexis. If they learn this very fundamental information, they may wish to find out something more, but they will be more accurate, hopefully, with working with the material when you work thoroughly with every single unknown word or phrase, because very often the students taking info, and nowadays it is easily done from the internet to take any kind of information. They take the text and they read it, pay no attention to how it is pronounced, or sometimes even not knowing how to translate some of the words, because when I start asking them, okay, you read it in the wrong way, what is the translation? And they can't translate it. So when you work in this way thoroughly with very short pieces of the text, though which give the main information about the place of interest, you not only inform the students, but you also show them the strategy of working with the text if they find information themselves. And you may definitely give them the task to find some additional information and deliver the excursion. On the walls of the tower, there is a tower clock, which was bought in England in the 18th century and is preserved till nowadays. The chimes were made by the English watchmaker Richard Phelps in the 30s of the 18th century and were only repaired 3 times. Now, every 15 minutes, you can hear the melody Glory from the opera Life for the Tsar. 1730s is put here, and you may teach the students how to read the dates, right? So that we divide these 4 figures into two groups. Okay, so what I suggest again, well, you saw some words, some phrases which I put here in blue, and they are mainly the passive voice, right? And again, I suggest working with it in the form of a lexical presentation. So, was bought, is preserved, were made, were repaired. Here you can see past passive and present passive phrases. So the exercise which I suggest doing is matching, our favorite matching, that the students match the translation of the expression. And again, well, you definitely can explain them the passive voice as a grammar material, as a grammar information, but I suggest presenting it just in the form of translation, and you may again ask them to memorize it and to do it in a certain period of time, in a certain interval, yes, time interval. So is called, was bought, is preserved, were made, were repaired, was imprinted, and are not disclosed. Some of the expressions are taken from the further text that I'm going to show you, even though you didn't see it in the previous one. And there is no card which you may print to use it, but you may use this PowerPoint presentation for the students to do this exercise. Okay, another interesting element of the tower is a metal spire with a weathercock, in which the noble emblem of the Demidovs was imprinted. But I used the word was imprinted in the previous card, all right? The spire is grounded, and again, this is the passive voice. It serves as a lightning rod for a quarter of a century before Benjamin Franklin invented the first lightning rod in 1752. Well, apart from lexical information, there is definitely a factual information, but I hope that when you first work with the lexis, when the students start reading the text, knowing the phrases and words, they will pay attention to the contents. And I'm sure that this fact will amaze them, that our Russian people were the first to invent this lightning rod, and Benjamin Franklin did it afterwards. Okay, and again, so you may use again association method, working with the words that you meet in this passage. Spire, шпиль в виде спирали, spire, спираль, правда похоже? Спираль, spire, and this is шпиль. Weathercock, so they definitely know the word weather, and they definitely know the word cock, so together that will not bring them difficulty. And lightning rod, rod, vod, grammatvod, rod, vod, vod, grammatvod, rod, grammatvod. So maybe they will remember it. The tower is full of mysteries, which can't be disclosed till nowadays. Be disclosed again. You can see the passive voice here. Firstly, no one knows the purpose of its construction. Was it a watchtower, a prison, or demonstration of Demidov's power? They say that it has lots of underground caves where the Demidovs secretly produced silver coins. However, nobody saw them yet. And Nevyansk told you about it. There is, and they have already trained this grammar construction, there is a mysterious auditory room, which used to be Akinfi Demidov's office. If you stand in one of the corners of the room, you can hear the whispers of people in the opposite corner, but their speech can't be heard in the middle of the room. This is also the interesting information which may attract the students' attention in case you first present them the English material that will evoke their interest and the desire to go to that leaning tower and see how it works. Because when the guides bring tourists to that place, they can experience it themselves. Okay, so before, let me say a few words here. So I gave you the main information about the Nevyansk and the Leaning Tower. And again, if you prepare students for delivering an excursion, the students may interleave their short passages, and they may be given to different students of one and the same group or class. And when the guide tells the information, misprint, I saw a misprint again. When the guide tells the information in Russian, the students may give their passage in English, and that will form the whole very big excursion. Now, how do students present their work? Because this is kind of a project, right, to the students, and how do you, dear teachers, present it to us? So there may be different forms of presenting the results of the work, and now, as you see, I started with Russian slides and I finished with English slides, slides in English. So the PowerPoint presentation, what do I mean by this? The students may find some pictures, because some of the passages, as you see, were not supplied with the pictures. So if the students find something, which is an easy task to do nowadays, and prepare a PowerPoint presentation and show them to the class while delivering their presentation, that will be a kind of a result in their work. You may also expand the list of associations connected with the topic. With the lexis connected with the topic. Well, students are much more quicker and much more creative than we teachers with thinking of associations. So you may give them some other words apart from those that I gave and showed it to you, and ask them to think of some additional associations, and by this you will expand their lexical, let us say, background, and on the other, you will have more cards with association at your disposal to be taught to other students. So give an excursion in the town to the classmates. You may or may not have a guided tour. So you may or may not invite a guide, but do it yourself. though I suggest definitely having it, but still. And the students may deliver an excursion to the classmates in English, taking turns of speaking near this or that place of interest. Now, a collection of pictures with some information may be done using QR codes. In one of our webinars, you are going to get an information how to make QR codes and how to use them for working with different information. The students may be interested in doing this because these are new technologies they are keen on, and that could be very helpful in motivating students, because as we know, motivation is 95% of success in every deed that we organize. So how to do this, we'll teach you how to do this. Now, a film may be made and voiced by the students. This film may be made out of pictures, and all of them are easily taken now with the help of our telephones, right, our gadgets, or with the help of video. But if you use the videos from your excursions when you visit this or that place of interest, the videos should be cut somehow and should be interleaved in a film so that it is interesting to watch it. And for this, you should know how to work with a special program which helps to make films. This program is very easy. You can download it from internet for free, I think, and use it not only for this very work, but in some other works when teaching English. And again, I'm going to tell you about this program is called Movie Maker program, and I'm going to tell you how to work with this program and how to make films, and we'll show you what kind of films could be made, and some voice or some songs or some music switched on in them and interleaved in them. So this will be also shown to you in one of the webinars. Now, social network posts, they all like VK, Facebook, Instagram, and they may again place posts there. And hopefully you at your schools also have either a website or something like this, some social network posts, социальных сетях, something connected with your school, so they may also do this, or even make a special site. And again, I'm going to show you one of the sites made by the students in one of the schools, and this is also the work which may interest students who are now called Google generation. I visited Macmillan Forum today, and one of the speakers, I liked her presentation very much, and she said that she was speaking about the present day generation, and she said this generation is sometimes called Тефаль generation. Тефаль, к ним ничего не пристает. Они ничего не берут близко к сердцу. Okay, but hopefully, and it is a problem to attract their attention somehow, because as she said, they are used to spam information which they don't focus on, and sometimes they take us teachers as spams, and spam, они нас как спам воспринимают, вернее не воспринимают, считая нас спамом. И в теперешнем клиповом мышлении, когда у них только 8 секунд, они могут заострять свое внимание на чем-то, нам надо как-то изловчиться и за 8 секунд привлечь к себе внимание. Okay, all right. So that brings me to the end of our today's webinar, and I'm ready to answer your questions if you have any. You may ask them in any language. Well, I mean English or Russian, because I don't understand Chinese, for instance. You may ask me questions if you wish, and I will try to answer them. Do you have any questions? Is there anyone in the classroom? Tatiana Vyacheslavorovna is writing something. Let us wait. No, Tatiana Vyacheslavorovna, I was eager to read your question or whatever you are writing about. Alexandra Ivanovna is writing something. Tatiana Vyacheslavorovna, okay. Unfortunately, I can't read it. Случайно? Okay, all right. So if you don't have any questions, then I wish you good luck in using this and some other information. And next time, next Thursday, that will be on the 7th of November, we are speaking about Sisert as the place of interest connected with Pavel Petrovich Bajov. Okay, so, and again, that will be about in English, again in English. And then in a webinar, Zinaida Mikhailovna will tell you about Verkhaturye. And after that, our excellent teacher from Verkhaturye will speak about it and will show you how to organize a virtual excursion over Verkhaturye. Okay, so have a good day. If you have no questions, bye.